you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life, that there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me. Do you know what I'm talking about? Matrix. Do you want to know what it is? The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room, you can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth? That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind. What is the Matrix? Control. The Matrix is a computer-generated dream world, built to keep us under control in order to change a human being into this. You have to let it all go, Neil. Fear, doubt, disbelief. Free your mind. Know who you are.
Come on, stop trying to hit me and hit me.
I don't believe it. I know what you're trying to do. Trying to free your mind, yeah. But I can only show you the door. You're the one that has to walk through it.
Till September 14th, that was just a video. I mean, how many of you believe maybe we're living in a virtual reality? Not a one. What would happen if you were? No takers, huh?
Nothing different,
Nothing different? Why nothing different?
because you only know what's around you.
Say that for me again.
You only know what's around you, what you see. Nothing would change. How would I don't know.
In a way, aren't we already living? Like if your social security number, bank accounts, all that's somewhere on a computer, your identity's on a computer. You're born, you pull out a loan, your social security number. So if the world says in virtual reality, with those numbers as your identity, then they're already trying to be that way.
It's reasonable. I just read just this morning that Google has taught artificial intelligence to make artificial intelligence on its own. One of the concerns that these people have, if in fact we live in a virtual reality, is that it happens as a result of our constructing artificial intelligence that's literally learning, not just knowledge about people, but there's this kind of symbiosis that occurs. There's a fellow named Elon Musk. He gets a lot of good and bad press. He invents Telsa, the electric car, but he's also the one trying to get people to Mars by 2020. Guy's very invested. And he said it really won't be that hard, even physiologically, for artificial intelligence to literally get the upper hand. You know, we see this, what was it, iRobot with Will Smith, yeah. And we kind of look at it like this can't be. Well, you know, these are realities that are out there, people. And the role of philosophy, look, philosophy isn't, philosophy is a tool to teach us not to be afraid to go beyond limitations. There's a great movie called The Internship. Yeah, The Internship with Vaughn somebody, and then there's the blonde-haired. Yes. Say that louder because I won't.
Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson?
And Owen Wilson, yeah. And at the very end of the movie, when they're trying to win this whole thing with Google, they're trying to convince a pizza maker that he should expand his business. And Vince Vaughn says, Vince Vaughn says in a really incredibly but important thing, he says, look, if you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. And most people, I think, are content with that, you know, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. The job of philosophy is a tool to get us to literally, the reason I play this for you is to get us to open our minds, because there may be some time in life when we need to have that capacity. Most of the time, and I don't mean this, boy, I don't mean this in a derogatory, most of the time we can just walk through life mindless and it doesn't matter. I get up at 4 o'clock and I'm hungry, I eat. I get tired at 5:30, I go to bed. I mean, it's just a routine. It never causes me to think about anything outside of it. But if there are certain realities that are beyond what's apparent to us, you know, what's really real, and we're going to talk about metaphysics today, what's really real, and we're going to move that into epistemology. How do we know stuff that we know? Maybe it would benefit us, maybe it would behoove us to have the tools necessary just to get a little bit outside of the box that we've been in for a while to see if there's anything else going on outside there. For instance, one more and then I won't do this to you. What is philosophy? Well, we talked about this, I think, the very first day or so. Philos and Sophia, 2 Greek words, loving, and Sophia, wisdom. Therefore, philosophy is literally the love of wisdom. What's wisdom? Some people, like the Pythagoreans, thought it's knowledge about the cosmos. Sophists thought it's possession of power and virtue. Socrates said it's just to show us how much we really don't know at all. You'll see this on your quiz, perhaps. Philosophy is the rational attempt to formulate, understand, and answer fundamental questions. Fundamental questions are primary. Oftentimes they're radical, they're abstract, and universal. The most basic questions that we can ask. The most basic question that all philosophy asks is, how should we live? For example, turn on the TV, open a newspaper if you dare. What's the best form of government? Well, I'd be willing to bet the assumption is, and I don't say any of this with judge, the assumption is, of course, it's ours. Is that the only form? Is that the only one that can produce our desired results? Most of us don't even know, right? And that's okay. I'm not being judgmental about it. Most of us haven't even begun to inquire about the mechanisms in which we live. The way our system regulates itself so that in hope or in theory we can maximize the largest amount of freedom for everybody. It's called libertarian, not liberal, not conservative, not Republican. It's called libertarian, maximizing freedom to the greatest extent for the greatest number. And we have these theories that allow us to do this, these moral values called utilitarianism, the greatest happiness. We'll learn about this a little later on this semester. Moral virtue, moral duty, doing the right thing for the right reason. We hardly even crack the code. We have no idea. Aristotle, 2,700 years ago, examined all the known kinds of government and decided the very worst kind of government. Anybody? Say again? Democracy. You know why he thought democracy was the worst form of government? He was, this 2,700-year-old guy, he was absolutely sure that special interest groups would take over the show. Is there any question about his wisdom? That doesn't have to be that way, but he knows the propensity of human beings. What do we do with people when they no longer want to live? This is a real question on your table. This is part of ethics and axiology, values, and how we live in one another. If you're, how many, do I have any of you in my ethics right now? Just 1, 2, 3, 4. Anybody who's had it beforehand? We deal with a question called euthanasia, mercy killing. Do people have a right to decide they don't want to live any longer? Extreme pain, excruciating pain, no hope of recovery. Yes, there's always miracles, there's always spontaneous remissions. But most people will die in absolute anguish, and from their perspective, they see no quality to their lives. They just want to end the misery. And we won't do that for them. We'll do it for your pet. And I don't mean to equate people with pets, but in some ways I really do. I want to provoke you. We do that with pets. I've had to put all of my animals down at one point or another. I've never had one just die naturally. I've been around people who literally died naturally. They've just closed their eyes and that was it. You hear them take it. If you've never been around people who expire, who die, you hear them take their last breath. It's very obvious that's the last breath. I don't know why it has that. It just has that sound. But there are people out there who want to be done. And as a culture, we say we can't do that. To intentionally take someone's life is premeditated murder. Well, wait a minute. We execute people in this country. That's intentionally taking someone's life. Why do we take a bad person's life, but a good person who's done, who says, I'll take my chances? Is there anything beyond this? I don't know, but I certainly don't want this. Why don't you just let me go? It's not only a moral question, it's a deep philosophical question. And your generation is going to have to make this decision. It's on the table right now. It's called voluntary active euthanasia. And someone will make the decision, whatever that decision is. If you don't participate in it, it's going to get made on your behalf. How do we distribute benefits and burdens? Right now we have one, and look, none of this is judgmental. I just want to pick at your brains for a few minutes, people. Right now we have 1% of the people control half the wealth of this country, and this is an extremely wealthy country, $19 trillion. I can't count $1 trillion. That means the other 300 million of us have access to $9.5 trillion. That's a lot of dollars. I was in northern Michigan, I think it was 3 summers ago, at a baseball game. They have a Detroit Tiger, I don't know, Class B League or whatever I don't know what they call it. 7th inning stretch, everybody stands up and they got one of those big video screens out there. What do you call it, you know? And there's a young man's face up there. Boy's about 18, 19 years old. Turns out he's from this city. It's 125,000 people. He got sent over to Afghanistan and he got killed. And so it was a moment of silence, 7th inning stretch. Everybody stood. We were all quiet and honored the fact that, you know, he gave his life. And then before they let you sit down, I'd never heard this anywhere before, he said, now before you sit down, will all former and current military please remain standing? And there were just a handful of us that were still standing. And I remember I looked around the field. I mean, there's just a few of us. There's a guy from Nam era, my era, and there was an older guy. He wasn't old enough to be World War II. I think he's probably a Korean vet, and then there was the younger men. And I remember looking around the field thinking, who is guarding the fort? And then that next march, I was down here with Joey. You probably won't meet Joey. Joey's my special needs boy. He'll come down and march to watch the Tigers play at their spring training. And we went to, we had a day off. We went to SeaWorld. Must be 4,000 people in that big, you know. And before it, the national anthem, everybody stood. And then he says, now before you sit down, will all current and former military please remain standing? And there was just a handful of us again. I remember looking around.